Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of the MPBA Community Podcast recorded on the MPBA Community Radio. I'm your host, Jacques, and today we have the pleasure of meeting an MPBA member since Amino era and also active Discord era member, Sealand. Thanks for joining us,
Hello.
Sealand. And of course,
I'm very happy to be here.
yes, and of course, thank you to our audience, Manon and UKSN, also known as Yuki. In our audience, feel free to ask Sealand any questions and interact with him or myself. And we shall begin the episode. So why don't you introduce yourself, Sealand?
All right. On here I go by Sealand. My actual name is Aiden, Aiden. But yeah, everyone calls me Sealand except like Matt sometimes because he's weird like that. Anyway,
Italian or the original, the creator of MPBA Amino, and hence the community. Just context for folks who did not tune into episode 1.
The man himself. But God, I didn't think about this beforehand. Yeah, I've been here for a while. I think since 2018. UKSN got me here through war roleplay Amino servers.
Okay, gotcha. And so would you say that you are a country ball enthusiast prior to Amino,
indeed.
or were you a mapping, like an alternate history enthusiast? Like, what got you into that sphere that eventually made you meet UKSN?
God, that is a lot to look back on, because that's like 2016. I think just like yeah. Yeah, I got into it a while ago. I think it was just from I used to play Civilization a lot, like Civ 5, and I think that I think just YouTube recommended, just found my way through there, and on Amino and Poland Ball and such, because it first started with like alternate history videos in Poland Ball, as any like 10-year-old does. And yeah, I was on Amino a while beforehand, before Poland Ball and stuff, because I was this is embarrassing to admit, I was like big into Undertale at the time, and like role playing and shit. So that's what I was on Amino for originally, was fucking Undertale role plays. It was so bad, so bad.
Country balls because of Hetalia, like that. So I think that's way more embarrassing, frankly speaking. So you have nothing to worry about. I got into the Amino because I saw this one Albanian, like in Alpian Films or something, this Albanian country ball animator, and through there, like, that's how it goes. So, yeah. Apparently UKSN also got into country balls through... Okay, wait, were you talking about the Albanian YouTuber, or are you talking about Hetalia, bro? Like, we have to make sure we're not spreading misinformation.
Oh my goodness.
Hetalia! Yeah, there you go. Hetalia is a popular way. I guess, how about this, bro? Maybe it's more popular the more east you go, anime and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because, I loved Hetalia, though. It was technically the first fandom I joined, because it was just so fascinating to me. Like, what a humanizing experience to personify countries. And, because of that also is why I'm also a geopolitics expert, and I got a degree on it from university. So there you go, CIA. I guess if you want to hire me, you know that I was sort of a weeb. Although I don't think that's... I think that's TMI for them. Too much information.
His invoice is Hetalia expert.
Yeah, Hetalia expert. Anyways. But yeah. And so I guess one question about the Amino before we move on to another topic for you is... what would you say was your most nostalgic memory from the Amino era? Like, while the Amino was still up and going.
Probably 2 things. It would be... or 3, honestly. So, one would be all of the, like, agent elections and all the drama around those. Those are a lot of fun.
Yes. Do you remember the colonialism?
Oh goodness, yeah, I remember that. There was like maps made of our outreach and shit.
Yes.
It was really cool, but it was also just like, it was so meaningless at the same time.
I know, it was just like LARPing taken too seriously. Bro, I mean,
I
two
love the
civil
North,
wars
dude.
over it is something I would never get over. You know,
This is so stupid.
and like yeah, I was on the winning side each time, so that's the only thing I can say. But oh my god, bro, you saying that reminded me of the time I hosted crusades because a bunch of like Arab kids were
No.
bullying me, and so then I asked everyone to send me the most oofed memes to spam in all the places because spam wars essentially was the means
Yeah.
of conflict in middle school, and you guys helped, and I became the Amino Pope, and just like
Hell
in
yeah.
real life. I failed to make a second crusade successful.
Nice.
The only difference between real life and our world was no one could be asked to do a second crusade.
Yeah, I remember all of our wars and like drama with like the country humans, Amino.
Oh my god, bro! Oh lord, no, bro,
It
that
was
was like
so
our 30
funny.
years of war. That was our 30 years
That
war.
was yeah,
You know,
it was
that like
terrible.
we were trying to
'Cause-
maintain tradition, we were trying to maintain honor, and then these
Yeah.
heathens come out. And no offense if you are a
It's-
country human person, but if you're sexualizing countries,
Full
that's
offense.
way too far. That's way too far in my opinion. In my humble opinion. The worst
Yeah, it
shipping
was,
I've seen is Nazi Germany and Soviet Union.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, bro, like I can understand that shipping from a historian and a Russian specialist point of view, but I did not necessarily approve of it.
On like when it comes to like the Poland ball like family tree, when it comes to the diversion from Poland ball and country humans, it's the people who got into Poland. I can tell what diverted it. Like the two different species.
Tell me.
Poland ball is like that species is like Reddit and shit like that.
Yeah.
Country humans, those are Tumblr people. Those are Wattpad people.
Wattpad people.
White women.
Damn.
I hate white women. No, just white women. Only white women.
Well, I guess if you're white and a woman, don't get with him. He doesn't want you. This East Coast
That's not true.
jit doesn't want you for any purpose, not even for work. So it's all good. All right, no, bro. I know you're trolling. Okay, but yeah. So you have described yourself, or I have mentally described you as an East Coast jit because, as far as I was concerned, you're just the most East Coast person I knew at the time I met you. So,
the only member on the East Coast is Finn. He's in Virginia, Central Virginia.
He's in Virginia, and you're from Maryland, if that's correct.
Maryland,
right?
yes.
What do you love about your state?
It's interesting, the history of it, and that's about it. It kind of sucks.
Nothing IRL, nothing in the present.
You know what? No, the Chesapeake Bay is pretty cool. Chesapeake Bay is pretty cool,
Gotcha.
and being the only area in the country with blue crabs is pretty nice.
Okay, fair enough. You a big seafood eater?
Fucking, not really, just blue crabs. Just
Okay.
blue crabs.
Okay,
They're
gotcha.
fucking delicious.
Fair enough. And how would you say is the state of state nationalism within Maryland? Like how proud are Marylanders of their own state?
Very, very, very.
Mm-hmm.
Not for good reasons. Well, there's some.
What do you mean?
There's some reasons to be proud of being from Maryland. It's some of the best hospitals in the world. It's some of the best education in the country.
I see.
That's about it. And we have a cool flag.
Cool flag. Yeah.
That's the main thing people are prideful for is the crabs and the flag.
Crabs and the flag. That's fair enough. That's really good. I mean,
yeah.
At least, yeah. Original 13 colonies. Things of that nature. There's a little bit of clout. And in your opinion, what do you think are the contemporary problems that Maryland faces as a state?
Obviously, Baltimore as a city is a fucking issue.
Oh, I've heard a lot. Yeah.
It's bad. It's bad. It's really bad.
Yeah. Crime out of control.
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible.
And what yeah, go ahead.
And the other big issue with the state is just the amount of pollution in the Chesapeake Bay. It's really bad. You wouldn't expect it from how like the entire identity of the state is around the Chesapeake Bay, and the pollution is really fucking bad. It's really bad, and they're doing like nothing to stop it.
See, what kind of pollution are we talking about? Are we talking about
just dumping shit, just dumping fucking wastewater? Yeah,
sewage, wastewater from factories and all.
Yeah,
That's
insane.
Well, Manon has a question for you, Sealand. Do you like licorice candy?
No. I don't like black licorice, but like shit like Twizzlers or something. I guess that counts as
I
licorice.
mean, it's kind of like a pseudo licorice, not really OG shit
Yeah.
because there's some other things in it, not just like licorice.
I
But
I haven't had I've had normal actually no, I do like black licorice. But
mm,
that's the only licorice I've had. I haven't had like all of the like other kinds and like of it and shit like from different countries.
I see, I see. That's interesting, bro. And yeah, well, while Manon is typing, let's go back to the
Yeah,
East
some
Coast
other
stuff. Yeah,
well yeah, some East Coast
I don't,
fuck.
I don't know, man. Like, how much of the East Coast have you traveled in the first place? And also, in your opinion, um, like, where do you think the East Coast begins and ends?
Well, obviously
Because
it's
you
the
have
eastern.
some of the cultural South, if you want to look from like the
Yeah,
literal East Coast,
like
but
geographically wise, well, there's every area of the East Coast is different culturally, but
mhm.
geographically wise, it's from it's the coast of Maine all the way down to the coast of Florida, where to like the southern tip of Florida,
Uh-huh.
and then the East Coast ends in the Gulf of Mexico.
I
That's
see.
where it ends.
So okay, so
Like really.
so when we're calling you East Coast jit being a boy or a guy or a lad in a Floridian
Jitalang.
slang, you know, I believe so. So yeah, and I would say what makes the East Coast distinct as a cultural region, in your opinion? Like, how is it different
Obviously
from the
it's
Midwest, the South, the West Coast?
probably obviously it's the oldest American culture wise,
Uh huh.
other than the natives that were here before,
Hmm. I see.
and like it's the oldest and just it's a lot different like water wise. Oh, hold
Water-wise.
on, am I still here? Okay, yeah, I
Yeah, you
am.
are.
My
You're the.
monitor cut out for a
Oh,
second.
no worries, no worries. It's all good.
I got scared. Anyway, like water wise, since we're on the Atlantic, it's obviously a lot. When it comes to beaches, it's a lot different from Gulf Coast states like Florida and stuff like that,
Hmm.
and Pacific Ocean states. It's way different, and also with just the shit like Chesapeake Bay, for example. There's a lot of shit around that, especially history wise.
Hmm.
And again, with a lot of like the older stuff, there's a lot of interesting colonial history on the East Coast with all the different nations that colonized here. That other than Britain,
I
because
see.
you had the Dutch, you had the Swedish.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, that's true. We have some questions for you, Sealand, from Yuki or UKSN.
Yeah, so
He's asking, what are you planning to take once you get into university or college?
I am
If you
not
figured that
going
out
to
yet.
university or college
Ooh,
because
okay.
currently I am in a trade school.
Trade school. All right. And what trade?
Yes, IT and networking.
I see. And I guess in relation to that, to an extent, is like what would be your dream job? I guess once you finish trade school.
That is honestly a really good question because you wouldn't expect it, but IT and networking is it's a very diverse job field.
Uh huh.
It includes a lot of different types of professions.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like coding or something. It's not generic stuff like that. That's a college course. This is trade school stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
IT and DEI. Shut up.
Sorry, Manon
But
said diversity, equity, and inclusion. Sorry, it's all good. Go ahead.
but yeah, IT is a lot of stuff like the people who help you with your fucking printer over the phone and
Mm-hmm.
people who they make cable. You can make different jobs in the field. You can make cables. You can be a help desk technician. You can manage networks and servers and such. You can like my professor.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any like teaching experience. He doesn't have any teaching education. He didn't go to college. He was just from the IT field, and he came into the trade school with that experience.
I
And
see.
he did things such as he planned out an entire like all of the wireless access points and networking in like schools and such and managed them.
Mm, gotcha. So
Yeah.
this seems very fascinating, and it just seems like there's a whole load of opportunities that are,
Oh yeah.
that would open up with that. How did you make that decision to go to trade school? Like, what influenced you
Um.
majorly to do that?
So how it happened. So how it works in my school district. Um. For anyone who's watching, I don't really care about my personal information being out there.
Yeah, no worries. You
I'm
can
in
say whatever you're comfortable with,
yeah,
realistically.
I'm in Cecil County, Maryland,
Uh huh.
and how it works there is that it is called the Cecil County School of Technology, and it is a trade school for juniors and seniors
Mm-hmm.
of every single, junior and senior in the county.
Uh huh.
So you how it works is, you apply for one of like the probably almost 100 like programs they have in there. It's so much. It's an insane school.
Uh huh.
Yeah, you apply for one, and I guess I don't know who reviews it. I have to ask my professor about it. I don't know the process of like you being reviewed, or like if it's just a wait list or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because I got in via waitlist because my dumbass forgot to apply first because
Uh
I
huh.
thought I did, but I didn't.
Oh
So
God, it happens.
I got really lucky. I got really lucky getting in.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, yeah, that's so fascinating because like I'm just unaware of all this kind of stuff, and that's why I'm just asking you what's perhaps with the most mundane questions, but to me it's a really
No, I love
riveting
talking about it.
conversation, basically. Now that's crazy. And do you think college or like a secondary degree, I guess like a master's degree or a bachelor's degree, do you think that would come into the picture or not? Like, what's your ideal scenario?
So I would only go to college or some sort of secondary education if I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to get into fiber optic installation.
Okay, so the kind of things like they for the internet, basically.
Yeah, because you need because they don't teach fiber optic installation in my trade school,
Uh
obviously.
huh.
Because you're only there for 2 school years, so there's a lot to cover,
Uh
and
huh.
that's obviously not one of the basics of IT.
I see.
And you need to go to college for fiber optic or some sort of higher end trade school,
Mm-hmm.
because it's similar to fiberglass per se. It is
Yeah,
harmful to you without proper protection and stuff like that, protocols,
uh-huh.
because fiber optic is literally just glass and lasers and shit.
I see.
It's really cool.
I see.
It's literally data transferred via laser and light.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, I
Other
mean
than
the optical
that's not
cables.
like a
Yeah.
yeah, optical cables. It's not like electronic signals. It's really interesting.
Well, yeah, no, it is. It is. It is. And it seems like you're very much into this kind of stuff to begin with. So
Very
sounds like
much.
to me like you are in the right path for what you want to
Yeah.
do and whatnot. Given that being said, what do you think are the challenges that lie ahead for this path of yours?
The the challenges of it are probably going to be competition in the field
Mm-hmm.
because before like IT is one of the job fields that is in most demand and
Uh-huh.
is exponentially growing. Because the two biggest things that I love IT for is that I'm passionate about it, and it's one of the best job fields to get into, not only pay wise, and you can't replace them. You cannot replace IT workers.
Hmm. I
Because
see.
like how a lot of like jobs and shit, especially in like manufacturing and shit like that,
Mm-hmm.
being replaced by AI, or people are short staffing restaurants and shit.
Yeah,
You can't do that with IT. You can't have an AI manage a server. You can't have an AI manage itself.
I
You have to
see.
have people manage those things.
And so you just want to be the guy who is managing the thing that is replacing everybody else. Not necessarily specifically AI, but
Could
even
be. I could.
infrastructure.
Yeah,
Because
I could go into network
until we
management. I
reach
could go
Terminator
into
mode where the AI have literal bodies they use, and then maybe they could themselves do it. or
Yeah,
used as a slave labor or whatever. I mean, you know what I
I
mean?
was talking to someone about that recently, about about what I'm getting into, and he said, once robots take over the world, he'll know who to blame.
Oh well, so do I guess. I
Man,
mean,
it's
I'm in saying my
they're
praises
paying
and thank yous to ChatGPT. So,
the pay for IT is also really good,
mm,
especially when I live in the best area for it, the northeastern megalopolis, which is
uh-huh,
Washington D.C. to Boston, Massachusetts, and all the cities in between them.
uh-huh.
The median salary for IT is around like 80 grand.
Wow, that's tough.
And yeah, the coolest thing with the trade school, I'm not just learning about it. I'm getting my certifications while I'm in the school.
Mm. No, no, that is the a plus of trade school because
Yeah,
it's you're focusing on like the practical skills you need, so you're out and ready to be part of the job market,
yeah,
especially if college is not for you. Like for me, like I think college was a path that I really wanted to go down, like regardless, because it was either me doing some space stuff or it was me doing what I'm doing now. It was like geopolitical
yeah.
stuff. You know what I mean? And it's a little tough because I'm not American, so I'm having a hard time finding relatively like related employment per se.
hmm
But at this present moment, like I realize it has to be some grad school shit or whatever. Worst comes to worst, I'll just be a mercenary diplomat of some sort. Like, you know what, bro?
Hell yeah.
Just pay me and I'll cover your war crimes, I guess. I don't
I'll
know.
be like one of those people who like
Call me Saul.
are and like ambassadors in like shitty third world countries like South Sudan, like the British ambassador to South Sudan and just
Oh,
live in that
whatnot.
embassy.
Yeah, but honestly, on a real note, though, like, um, I want to like have my own think tank, my own
Yeah.
research, facility to do relevant research on geopolitical affairs or whatever our sponsors want us to write, basically,
Yeah.
or whatnot. And my hope is that to involve all MPBA members into that company one way or the other. That is the
Hell yeah.
unrealistic part of the goal, I guess. But hey, if you're gonna, we
The
need an
true
IT
goal.
guy. We need an IT guy. Or you can do it part time too. Like in the case that we
Yeah.
can't pay you enough because we're not getting grants or whatever. I mean, that's what's happening with our nonprofit right now.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I'm not getting paid. But it doesn't matter because the
Yeah.
job I'm doing is for a good cause, which I
Mhm.
didn't tell you about, so I might as well say it now. I bet the audience who listens consistently is going to get bored with me repeating like a rabbit, but that's the biggest thing. Rabbit, sorry, repeat like a rabbit. It's good alliteration, but it makes no sense. Repeat like a parrot. There we go. Repeating like a parrot.
There you go.
So I work for this organization called Russians Against War Minnesota, and what we
Mhm.
basically do is advocate for political prisoners currently in the Russian prison system to
Uh-huh.
try to take care of their families, and also we take care of Russian asylum seekers who make their way to Minnesota from
Ooh.
Mexico, basically going from the southern border all the way to the northern
What?
border. Yeah, and so we're helping them
Hell
integrate.
yeah.
We're helping them get their GED, high school diploma, whatnot, so that they can work. Because apparently America doesn't acknowledge university degrees from Russia, uh,
Well, yeah.
so or whatnot. So it's kind of tough for them, but that's part of the
Yeah.
mission. And yeah, that's what we do. That's what we focus on. I do it in the spirit of my 5 friends who died in the Ukraine war so far. Two
Nice.
Ukrainians, 3 Russians. It is what it is, but in their spirit, I'm doing something that we should have all done earlier. But regardless, I mean that's what I'm doing. So actually, which leads to another question. Before I want to return to asking you some opinions regarding East Coast stuff that I'm curious to
Yeah.
hear about. But what do you think? Like, to what extent do you think like jobs play a big role in fulfillment, one's fulfillment in life, like one's occupation or
Um,
whatever? What do you think? Because right now you're in the beginning, the near beginning of that journey, and
yeah.
maybe in the future I will ask you that same question again and see what your response would be.
Me personally, it's just at least for right now, because currently, I'm working with my grandfather in his business,
Mm-hmm.
and most of my life I've just been kind of almost like a neat of sorts.
All
Like
right.
fucking just like I don't do shit. I'm in my fucking room all day. I don't really do anything much outside. Like
Uh-huh.
I've kind of just been a fucking basement dweller most of my life. And finally being part of like a some form of job and just being actually busy all day and doing something productive, like it's just like every day finally feels fulfilling.
Mm,
Like there's no just like empty waste of a day when I'm just doing jack shit, bored all day, jorking my shit. It's like
yeah,
I'm actually like working, I'm doing something.
yeah. I see.
Like it doesn't affect my self-worth much. It's
Mm-hmm.
just that it feels, I don't know, it's since it's new to me, I haven't gotten to
Like a sense of
dwell on it too
security, a sense
much.
of comfort. I would get
Yeah, comfort
certainty.
almost. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
feels good. I want to work as much
yeah.
as I can.
Same here, man.
Like it's just oh God, it's so fucking terrible just doing nothing.
No, I totally get that. I mean, recently I've been having a content shortage, or like not a lot of things I used to do entertain me as much. You feel
Yeah,
me? Like YouTube channels or whatnot.
like a
So
burnout.
yeah, it's basically a recreational burnout. Yeah, that's a good way of phrasing it. And like right, and I think work is a way out, like meaningful work. And
Yeah.
I guess when there's an additional thing of getting paid for that labor,
Hmm.
I think it kind of gives like additional comfort and security. Because I think there's something special about you receiving that check, you know,
Yeah.
and knowing that your efforts went somewhere. You hope,
Yeah.
you
A
know.
big thing with money for me is that like I've always wanted a job for a while, mostly just because I fucking hate having to have my parents buy me shit. I hate it.
Mm,
I hate it so much.
no, I relate to that big time. Like I wanna be in a position to support my parents now, not the other way around. And plus,
Yeah,
I have a younger
yeah.
brother that they need to focus on as well financially. You know, so you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying. So I totally get you. And yeah, so here's some. So I was thinking of some questions to ask you, and I was like, you know what? I want to hear this guy's take on this. Top
Sure.
five influential East Coast cities and why? Go.
Um, fuck. I haven't been too like out and about like that.
No worries. I mean, you can either
But
like base it on, like you can even change it up. Like when I mean by influential, I guess how about like influential to you, and
to
then
me.
influential in general. Like for the general one, you don't have to have been there. You can just say it from what you know. But let's start with the one that's influential to you.
So influential to me for the most part honestly has been up here in New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
Like I guess you could technically say like Manchester or Merrimack,
Mm-hmm.
because like I come up here every like July for like a month, for the whole month, like every year for the past 5 years, 5 6 years.
Uh huh.
And every time I come out, I just don't want to leave. Like being up here in New England, it feels like I belong here. Like being up here truly feels like home.
Mm.
Like where my actual home is doesn't feel like home as much as it does up here. It's just
Fair enough. And
it
why is
is
that the case? Like what things specifically? Is it the nature? Is it the general vibes?
it's it is for me. It is mostly the nature. It is just so much more here. Because when it comes to Maryland and that general area of Delaware, Southeast Pennsylvania, Maryland, northeastern Virginia, the kind of a city that I'm in
Mm-hmm.
southern New Jersey. It's mostly just suburbs, farmland, and major cities.
Uh huh.
Because
Gotcha.
and there's just since the area I live in, Cecil, I'm right between two major cities, Philadelphia and Baltimore.
Mm,
Uh, like there's just not much to do down there, especially just at least just for someone my age,
I
especially when
guess.
I have to have my parents take me places.
Uh huh.
Like in my county, there's nothing really to do. It's just another one of those counties in the United States. It's very generic. There's nothing to really do.
Fair enough. Do you think
That's,
your opinions on like having something to do in Baltimore and Philly would change once you're more mobile? I guess like independently more.
yeah, it definitely it would change because I do like being in the city. It is nice because shopping's fun and
Uh huh.
just the that many people and that kind of experience is interesting. But what I really like about up here is just it is an immense amount of nature. Like the entire, like if you look on Google Maps, the entire state is just woods.
Mm.
Like when
Wow.
I was flying into Manchester Airport,
Mm-hmm.
when I finally got below the clouds as I was landing, I was like, huh, there seems to be a lot of water around here. No, it was fucking trees. It's
Wait,
all
wait,
trees.
wait. So, wait, the tree. So it was so greenish blue. You thought it was like a body of
Yeah.
water.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of water, but no, it's just trees. It's
Wow.
trees and trees. It's so forested out here, and it's amazing. The nature is incredible, especially with hiking trails. I fucking love hiking. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only for like the physical activity aspect of it, but just the exploration and just seeing things.
Jeez,
Like
that's crazy.
there's so much detail within like nature and those hiking trails that you never really think about or expect. Like you can look up like it's a trail that's
Yep.
only like 20 minutes away from me. It is fucking beautiful, and it's not a popular trail. Like when I went there was like at most 6 people.
Uh-huh.
It's called Purgatory Falls.
Purgatory Falls. That sounds a little ominous.
The name is a little ominous. I don't know why it's called that. I have to research it, but it is absolutely beautiful. It is the I have a lot of pictures I'll send into Mapper Shatter photos for you to look at later. But
Mm-hmm.
it is absolutely beautiful. It is like I only hiked about a total of like 3 miles of it.
Yeah.
Like I went like 1.5 miles up 1.5 mile up the trail and then back,
Mm-hmm.
and there was just so much to see. It was a like fantasy forest out there. It was fucking mystical
Wow.
because it's a river that runs through there
Mm-hmm.
that the trail walks along, and it's a very very rocky river. Like around this time of year, since most of the rivers get their main source of water from all the snow and shit melting
Mm-hmm.
once spring comes and
Mm-hmm.
winter ends. And since it's now late July, early August, all that's kind of dried up.
Yeah.
So it's just a huge exposed riverbed with so many rocks and now just like a bunch
Yeah.
of ponds with a bunch of fucking frogs in there and
Mm-hmm.
shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's and the trail was it was so fucking crazy because
Gotcha.
it's a lot of rocks. Like it's very interesting. Like all the entire trail is like covered in exposed tree roots and shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. It
Maybe
was
the
a
New
really
Hampshire
really cool
Tourism
experience.
Department, if they have that, needs to hire you because you're making this
Oh
what
god.
is allegedly an unpopular trail sound pretty appeasing to me.
And
Also,
there's
frankly, yeah,
and and what's crazy about it, there's like hundreds of that same kind of trail all across the state.
that's nuts. Well, I just want to share something with you because what you talked about, especially the river stuff, right? Really spoke to me. So I'd studied abroad in Kyrgyzstan, the country of
Mm,
Kyrgyzstan in Central Asia for 6 months, and there would be this Alarcha mountain range, and there would be a trail there. Like there are many trails that go all over the place, but
yeah,
the thing is that I had the pleasure of seeing that water flow thing that you mentioned earlier because
yeah.
it's a river. The Alarcha River comes from the Alarcha Mountains, and in the winter when I hiked through a blizzard, which long story for another day. Maybe for a solo episode, I'll just talk about my time studying abroad. Maybe that I should write that down just so that
Doesn't sound like a
video.
great idea.
Yeah, no, yeah, my Central Asian study abroad experience. But anyways, I really relate to you because frozen river. You know what I'm saying initially,
Mm,
and then I returned back there and around springtime. And like it was very rapid, like it's going and it's going, like
yeah.
it's really strong. And then around the time I left, it was like in like late June, I believe. It was
Mm.
chill. It was just like taking a sigh of relief. It did all the work of eroding all them stones for the mineral richness for the water
Yeah.
or whatever. I took a one geology course, so I kind of feel like I know my shit. I mean, to be fair, I did accurately predict when the region was underwater based on looking on the mountains and the iron
Hell
composition.
yeah.
So I think that education, big up Professor Raymond Rogers. You should check him out on LinkedIn, I guess. I don't know where else, or an academic geology paper. But
Somewhere.
yeah, but anyways, so that's really cool. And so another thing I was thinking about because you were just talking about nature, right? made me think about the potential rural-urban divide in the East Coast, or at least in your region. You can talk about Maryland. You can talk
Mm,
about the surrounding states, because as you said, the region you live in is like a megapolis, right? Like a lot of the major cities just being like a
yeah,
relatively few miles of each other. In your opinion, as a person who I assume lives in a more rural part or a more towny part of the region, how do you
yeah,
think that's
suburban.
affected life, business, politics? Let me hear your take.
Um, so the area that I'm from, Cecil County, with it being a very suburban area,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's just it's very with everything with it politically, economically,
Mm-hmm.
and its development. It is one where I can really describe it as just mediocre,
Mediocre.
especially when like there's not much of a reason to move out there. Like
Mm.
it's a slightly Republican leaning county. The main town, Elkton, it's a crazy statistic. It's a town of only like 15.6 thousand people, and it is the second highest in the state, like per capita for drug usage,
Bruh.
but only behind Baltimore City.
That is nuts. What kind of drugs are you doing? Are you gonna do the hardcore stuff like methamphetamines and heroin and
Uh,
fentanyl, or like
Opioids. It was
opioids?
mainly
Opioids.
opioids.
Okay, like okay, got you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my town, there's like a big it used to be it used to be where the old Walmart used to be, but there is a medical center, like huge medical warehouse in there that was one of the um originators for the opioid crisis in like the 2000s.
Jeez, I
Yeah,
see.
it was really bad. Most of the area is like opioids and probably crack or something.
Uh huh.
Junkies and the such. It's a shitty
Is there
area.
a
It's
homeless population issue out there too,
uh,
or
not too much, not too
not
much.
too much? Okay, we're not talking
But
about like
yeah,
California levels, of course.
no,
Okay,
not San
got you.
Francisco.
Okay,
But
noted.
just the reason why it's mediocre is Republican politics and policies are terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's not sustainable for growth, obviously, and especially when a lot of the politics in the area are very
Why?
corrupt.
Obviously, because I am not educated on this stuff. Like I
A
know like
lot of
Minnesota politics, but not really much elsewhere.
yeah, because a lot of Republican policy is very conservative, very slow, very sticking to tradition, and even if that tradition is complete bullshit, it doesn't work.
Mm,
And also a lot of the politics out here, since it's small town politics, it's very corrupt,
I
very
see.
very
I see.
corrupt.
So wait, when you were talking about like sticking to the tradition stuff, are we talking from the economic perspective or sorry,
Economic
access? Okay,
perspective,
okay. I was about to ask in terms of like the social progress aspect as well.
yeah.
That's you, both of them.
Social, there's not much you can do socially wise in such a small populated area because the county itself only really has a population of around 110,000.
Uh huh. Fair
But
enough.
yeah, especially economically because they just it's just another suburban sprawl county
Mm.
town,
Mm-hmm.
and there's not really much. There's not any outlying job opportunities here. There's nothing really special to really just come here. You kind of just end up here because you either can't afford or don't want to live in one of the major cities only an hour away,
Fair enough. Fair enough. This
or
reminds
that you were just stuck
me.
here.
Yeah, exactly. This reminds me of this is a similar sentiment into the situation. See, because I often visit my girlfriend's town in northern Minnesota, Mora, Minnesota, and it's the
Hmm.
same story. It's just literally an hour, 30 minutes away. There's a decent amount of people that commute to the Twin Cities every day
Hmm.
or whatnot, and it's the thing. People live there because the land is cheap, or they just don't like the cities or whatnot.
Yeah.
I think that might be just a universal like American experience for those folks who live in what's considered a rural or a suburban sprawl or whatnot. Because
Yeah.
these are things I watch and all, and unfortunately we're coming to an end for our recording. For this episode.
So sad. So
No, it's
sad.
so sad, but hey, we will have to have you come over here, and maybe next time you can have like a topic that you want to focus on more that you're kind of passionate about. Maybe
Hell
we
yeah.
can focus even on your experience with nature in New Hampshire. Perhaps that is a possibility as well. So that's all up to you. But for now, especially to our audience, and also to the podcast viewership, I really appreciate your attention. Thank you for making it this all this way. I really appreciate it, and so does the MPBA community as well. And until next episode, I hope you guys have a good day.
I love mapping pole and ball amino.